Hello, authors of YouTube. BH Blankenship here. Just kind of dropping in with a quick, broad discussion video on editing. One of the first things to consider about that when you first get into writing, if you don't really have a background in literature and writing, if you're just a book lover, a fan, someone who's always wanted to write and getting into it, one of the things to keep in mind is that, first off, proofreading and editing are two completely different things. Of course, proofreading is where you go through, you dot your I's, cross your T's, that kind of thing. Look out for any grammatical or spelling errors. Always, an important thing to look out for. Which, by the way, if you do find a word that's misspelled, or if autocorrect doesn't catch something because the word that you have down is a viable word, just in a different context. It happens to everyone, even big names like George R.R. Martin. I found those things in his book. For example, he meant to put the word footfalls, but instead there was the word footballs. Still a perfectly correct word, just not in the right context. So if you find something, it happens. Don't feel bad. Whenever you write a book, keep in mind that is tens, if not hundreds of thousands of words. Slip-ups are going to happen. Don't dwell too much on it. Try to catch what you can with multiple read-throughs. But onto what the topic of this is. Editing. Editing isn't about proofreading. Proofreading is part of it, but the main purpose of editing is to shape your story as best you can for your readers, which involves things like keeping in mind the pace, removing any parts that are unnecessary that bog down the story, especially in action. If you get too complicated with some things, you have to remove those for the flow. That is editing. So it's whether you do this yourself, you get a friend to do it, or if you pay someone else to do it. That is the entire purpose right there. Which you can watch videos like the ones I'm putting out, or there's other source materials out there to find out more about the process and what you should cut out, like large portions of exposition. And a handy tidbit that I was given by Christy Golden is show, don't tell. So if you have a character with certain traits, like if they really like candy, you don't have to say, hey, this character really likes candy. Whenever they're around, they have a bag of Skittles. They have a sucker in their mouth. Just something where they're always taking care of their sweet tooth, but you don't have to outright say, oh yeah, this John has a sweet tooth. No. You see, Johnny has a sucker in his mouth. Just that kind of thing. It removes the exposition part. And there is a term in editing called killing your darlings. And sometimes an author, they have a long piece of material they like in there. It's probably going into history, something like that, but it is largely exposition. And while it is good, they have all these details down in their head, they don't necessarily need to put it all down on paper. We're just going to slow down, possibly, remove the reader's interest. So that's something to keep in mind there. It's all about making the story as presentable for your reader as possible. That's because as writers, that is our job, is to entertain. So, if the story strays from being entertaining because it becomes so heavy in some places, it means that you or your editor aren't doing their job in that regards. There are also different ways of going about editing. Some people like to write the whole thing, then edit it. I personally find that approach not the best. It becomes tedious. What I do, for example, is that after I write a chapter, I will print out the chapter and go through it with the red pen treatment. For example, a recent chapter that I finished with my newest book, The World Shaper Song, I take it, I print it out, I go through it, I hit it with a red pen. Any places that look like it's bogging down the story, I mark out any grammatical or spelling issues. I take care of on here too. So I go through it all at once, proofreading and editing. And the reason why that I find that printing out in sections kind of works as I write is, for one, it's not nearly as tedious as is if you do it all at once. So I can make these changes relatively quickly. Work out the chapter, go through, go back, fix up the chapter, move on to the next one. And the reason I print it out is because, as this is another tip that I'd gotten from Christy Golden, which she's given me all kinds of fantastic advice while working with me on the Bannerman's Blade, is that you are going to see more things on the page than on the computer screen. It works out that way. If you haven't tried editing that way on page, I would recommend doing it. You're going to catch a lot more stuff. But yeah, and also, if as an independent author, you have to be willing to take criticism and advice from people who have spent time editing. I've encountered some independent authors before. Their editing was honestly kind of crap. I politely said, hey, I have a few notes on your editing, a few minor things you can do that will help the flow of the story, and they got defensive. And once someone gets defensive about their work like that from their peers, it shows me that they're not really mature enough to handle taking constructive criticism, and I wash my hands of them. I had to swallow my pride whenever I had shown my early drafts to Christy, and she had come back with me about things that I could work on. Yeah, it kind of stung at first, but I thought about it, and I had to realize that she didn't say it was bad. She didn't say anything like that. She pointed out a few weak areas that I can work on, and so I went back over her notes, went back over my pages, and had seen that she was right. So it's another bit of advice for you there, authors. Be willing to take that constructive advice. Whether or not you apply it, that's up to you, but you can't let your feelings get in the way of your progress as an artist. That's pretty much the way it goes with any type of art. But I've gone on for a little bit about this. I'll just go ahead and wrap this up. This one's just kind of a broad general video. But if you find my videos useful, helpful, entertaining at least, or if you want to see more of Star the rabbit, be sure to hit the like and subscribe. Share the videos with your friends. If you have anything you want me to cover, let me know, and I will make these videos to be helpful. So yeah, just go ahead and come to me. I'll make the videos that you want to see. I can do videos on my art as well as my writing. So yeah, this channel is for you. So yeah, feel free to communicate with me, and we'll make this into something. So, all right, BH Blanket Chip signing out. You have a great day, YouTubers.